Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to the last word. Just come out from Goodison, whacked up the car. A lot to dissect, haven't we? First of all, if you can drop us a massive like on this, that would be wonderful. You've seen Johnny's match reaction. Johnny was in the lower tier, I was in the higher tier. That's why you haven't seen him on the vlog. And he's had to shoot off because his pal's missus is about to give birth. So this is why I thought, should I do it outside Goodison Park? But I thought, no, I'll do it in the car, less wind and what have you. But very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. We'll hear from Eddie Howe very shortly. We'll talk about the striking situation because I think that's cost with 2 points, the neat. But let's get on with the lineups now and let's have a little look and see what the crack is then. So it was unchanged from Manchester City in the Premier League. Obviously, the Wimbledon game, we knew that Eddie Howe made 7 changes, I believe it was. 7 changes once more. The only change, I think, on the bench was that Dubravka hasn't recovered. So it was John Ruddy, who used to play for Everton, ironically, who was on the bench. And alongside Vlachodimos, so we had 2 goalkeepers on the bench, which is mental. But unchanged, not really surprised, to be honest with you. And yeah, let's talk about it then. So the stats will say that Newcastle had this amount of possession, this amount of shots. I haven't seen the stats, by the way. This just comes straight in. Newcastle, but they didn't put the ball in the back of the net. And Newcastle did have a couple of chances in that first half. Obviously, we'll talk about Everton's disallowed one. It was Decore arriving late. Very, very tight. We could see the screen to our left-hand side. Looking at it, he was fractionally offside to the right decision. Everton thought they had scored, but no. Newcastle's best 2 chances, you would say, is the Bruno one, which from the other end of the ground is difficult to see. We're seeing the replay back, and Bruno has that shot just inside the area on the right-hand side. He has a shot, and it goes out for a corner. We were like, oh, the keeper must have saved it, but we didn't know that. I think it was Ndai, I might be wrong, was on the line, and he doesn't know much about it, to be honest. It kind of hits him and goes out for a corner. So I'm very, very unlucky from Newcastle's point of view. Very fortunate from the home side. That was one of the best chances. And then the penalty incident. Now, and I've raised this and I've mentioned this so many times because inside the ground, fans haven't got a clue what's happening in terms of refereeing decisions. Because we didn't know why it was given. We didn't know who it was given. All it said on the screens, which was checking VAR. Hadn't got a clue. Now, if you're in St. James's Park, especially in the Gallagher or the East Stand, you wouldn't have known. You might have heard something on the Tanai, but that's why I always think there should be screens inside every Premier League ground. You can easily put them on wheels on the stand and roll it in if needs be. Because we haven't got a Scooby-Doo. It was given as a penalty. Obviously, we later found out it was a pull on Tonali. Again, I haven't seen it back. Couldn't tell you. But Anthony Gordon, of course, that man, returning back to Goodison Park. A lot of hatred towards him. A few fans after the game. But we love him at Newcastle. Steps up. I've got to say, it's not a great penalty. It's not. Pickford's obviously playing the mind games, doing all the dancing before the kick. And he saves it with his legs and goes out for a corner. And obviously all 11 players run to him. And poor. Disappointing, but you've got to go now, forget about it, move on from it, because a penalty, you shouldn't rely on penalties. Newcastle have, ironically, the last 2 games. Stop relying on penalties, forget about it. You need to move on. I know you've got the cauldron. I know it's basically how's Anthony Gordon going to react to that. So into half time, you need to see a different side for the second half. Go on and kick on and create chances. And to be fair, Newcastle did. Everton were really, really poor going forward. They had a couple of McNeil efforts from long distance, low, hard, but way wide. You can see why they're going to struggle because they did not look great in it. I think Newcastle obviously having a lot of joy. Joe Linton, I thought he was probably the player of the match, man of the match for me. I thought he's put his foot in a much better performance, but everyone around him, it was half. It just wasn't fully there for me. Second half chances, obviously Miggy had that chance which hit the side netting. Obviously from the other side, looking across, some fans thought it was in. Gordon one, quite similar, running through one goal. He's got to keep that down. He has to keep that down for me. It's poor. If he hits that on target, I think he scores there because I think Pickford's beaten. A couple of half-empty chances. There just wasn't enough for me in terms of put them away. and it goes to full time and 0-0, and obviously the pantomime villain Pickford was getting a lot of stick. Anthony Gordon was getting a lot of stick. Obviously during the game, Eddie Howe made a few changes to move players around and what have you, and give Joe Willock a bit of energy, and Tino Livramento and what have you, and Barnes was taken off, and etc. etc. So it finished 0-0, but my question is that I'm frustrated at is you've got a striker on the bench, you're trying to win the game, it's all Newcastle dominating possession, similar to Wimbledon the other night, where they're dominant possession, but they're not putting them away. I had chances in that second half, but you've got a striker and you're trying to win the game and you're not bringing him on. Why? You've got a striker there and you're trying to win the game and you're bringing him on. I can't get my head around it. Yes, he might not be ready and what have you, but I'd much rather it felt Will Osula than Miguel Almiron. Do you know what I mean? Or a chance that Osula might be able to create for himself on the edge of the box. The striker's instinct. Bring him on. Gan for it. Everton were just playing for a point. Part on the bus. Last 10 minutes. They were delighted for a point. We're not. We're disappointed. Newcastle, I said this to a couple of lads next of us. If Newcastle want to get Champions League football this season, they have to win at these grounds. You know that you're going to have a lot of the ball, but you're not creating or finishing enough for me. You're just not. 2 points dropped the need. Without a shadow of a doubt it is. It's 2 points dropped. You shouldn't rely on penalties to try and win your games. I've seen that midweek. I was disappointed with that. I've got a stat for you. Last 4 games since Isak's gone out injured, Newcastle have scored 1 open play goal, and that was through Harvey Barnes at Fulham. And then the next game we needed a penalty, and the next game we needed a penalty put out a League 2 side. So for me, the quicker we get Callum Wilson back or Alexander Isak back, because if any one of those two start the neat, we win that game. I wouldn't say it's factual, because obviously we'll never know in hindsight and what have you. Wonderful thing, blah, blah, blah. But any one of those two start the neat, Newcastle win the game. And it's a problem that we've got is that we're talking about, Callum Wilson's injury record, but you've got a striker on the bench, use him. That's what he's there for. Because why is he on the bench then? Why is he sat there? Why? If we're 2-0 up, 3-0 up, you give him a little run out. No, fuck that. He's a striker. Get him on. Get an extra body up top. Be brave. Go for the 3 points. Run the risk. Take the risk. Newcastle might have come away. You never know. Might have fell to him. But instead, for me, 2 points dropped for me. Here's Eddie Howe, what he said about the game.
I thought he did really well. I mean, he probably epitomised the performance really, where I thought his general game was very good. I thought he was a constant threat. I thought his movement was really strong for us. He gave them a problem by dropping deep. The disappointment, of course, will be for him. That will be the penalty, and for us. But overall, I was very pleased with his performance. He has his process. It's been brilliant for him so far. Every penalty I've seen him take up until that one has been superbly executed under pressure. And it's one of those moments. There was a long wait. There was a long build for him to think about what he was going to do, and it's never easy. So I thought his performance, as I say, overall was very good.
I think it was a lot better performance by us. I think we've been poor away from home this season, so we wanted to sort of have that same mentality we did last week at home to City. So I thought we were a lot better, but battled well. I think we had to deal with the sort of physicality of them. But yeah, I'm disappointed we probably haven't come away with 3 points. I think it was a big wake-up call for Fulham. I think we're getting a little bit complacent. So the gaffer said we had some honest conversations, and we did. I think we reacted well, but it's always quite an intimidating atmosphere coming to Goodison. So I thought we dealt with it well. Yeah, still definitely more to come. I think we've showed good character. I think a lot of these games would have been beaten last season, so I think it shows a good team when you're not playing well, you're still picking up results. So we'll have a good international break, and I know we've got a tough run after that.
So there you go. So that's what Eddie Howe said about it. International break now, wasn't it? I think this is coming at a really good time for Newcastle. It's not the worst start in the world. Of course it isn't. Look at the points. Newcastle are in a really healthy position. We still are. But I just think it's 2 points dropped, as I say already. The performances, we dominated in midweek. We dominated possession a lot more today. Not as much as midweek, naturally. But what you're doing with the ball, I thought Tonali was pretty poor tonight. I thought, as I say, Joe Linton was our best player. There's loads. Harvey Barnes was trying to do bits in the first half. Murphy was more or less non-existent for me. Gordon, I just don't like him up top. I really didn't. And I won the penalty against Manchester City, and I keep banging the drum. Gordon, you're taking something away from his game for me. Just don't like it. And obviously, even Eddie Howe tried. You put Harvey Barnes up top at one stage for about 20 minutes and moved Gordon out the left. So just to try and get Gordon into the game a lot more, just keep him left first. Or if Harvey Barnes is going to play, move him right. Don't have him up top. For me, I just think there's something like, I just don't like it. It feels like you've got, normally 6 gears in a car. If you're putting Gordon left wing all game, you're driving the fastest. You're in full force. But if you put him up top, you're kind of stuck in between 3rd and 4th gear for me. It's a downgrade. And I know that we've got injuries, and I know I'm banging the drum about it, because if we've got strikers there, then we win that game. Because one of them will create something. Or one of them will get on the end of it. The Miggy one, or the Gordon one where he puts in the second half when he's running through. One of those 2 strikers scores there for me. But we've got injuries. And we've always talked about the Callum Wilson situation. Isak should be ready. Wilson should be ready in 2 weeks' time. But obviously you've got long-term injuries at the back, which doesn't affect today's game because we kept a clean sheet, which is the positive to coming from today. Don't get me wrong, a clean sheet away from home, if you want to look at the positives. But we'll bring up the league table new for you. As I say, the international break's coming at a really good time. It's just very frustrating, and oh man, I feel negged out. That's what I do. I feel negged because I didn't feel like it's the feeling. I don't feel like it's a defeat. I feel negged out because I think that could have been a win tonight. That's what I'm negged out about. I'm all right with the draw. I'm comfortable with the draw, but I just think, what if you bring Osula on? If we had a striker, but we'll have to deal with it. We have to deal with the injuries, and hopefully next game, which is Brighton home, I think in 2 weeks' time, one of those 2 starts up top. Because my God, do we need strikers? But Will Osula's not playing today. Obviously, the women's we've got Durham, the Morrow later on today. Obviously, I'm putting this out in the morning, and then we've got Sunderland next week as well. So there's something to look forward to, the Mackem Derby for the lasses. But obviously, the men, England will go away. I think England play Thursday, I want to say, and obviously Trippier will stay with the squad. Fabian Schär will stay because obviously they've retired, so they're trying to prolong their club careers, which is always nice. I'm very negative. I'm sorry. Like you know how it is. We do this videos. We do the channel, and we got every single game. We got more games than any other channel, right? And sometimes you've just got to tell it like it is, whether you like it or not. When we're on a high, we'll do the videos. When I feel like shit and I feel negative, I've got to express that today. I feel oomph. I feel like deflated after that because I think that 2 points dropped. Now I'm going round in a circle. I keep mentioning the same thing here. So what we'll do is we'll end the video here. If you drop a like on the video, please do. Obviously, we've got the women's Durham game. We'll have loads of stuff with the press conferences. People that you'll know at the women's, you'll see them on the videos. We put a lot of effort into seeing both teams, which is quite difficult when you've got full-time roles. But as I say, this channel will be there for you. Right. Long drive home. Let's get going, everyone. Right, I'm going to love yous and leave yous. See yous. Ta-da.